We produced a record for Nas. That's the important message. Please excuse my appearance. I know I look like I've been at the park all day barbecuing by myself. But last year, we did a record with Nas. I have credits on a Nas song. That's one of those hip hop bucket list items checked off. I just need Jay-Z and Eminem and a bunch of people. And at the time that this whole Nas record happened and was released, and it's a Nas and Joey Badass record on Static Selector's last project. I'll be honest with you, I was not happy. I was not in a positive state of mind, and I didn't celebrate that particular win the way I think I should have, and I didn't even upload the beat breaking that track down. We did a whole ass beat breakdown, and I didn't upload it. Now I'm uploading it, so this is how it went down. Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. The last time we spoke, we broke down, I think, either the Russ record. No, we broke down the Locks record. That was a collaboration with Static Selector. This is also a collaboration with him. This whole track was for his album, and so it started off by him contacting Dream Life, and again, things just kind of not going the way we thought they were going to go, and that's just the nature of music. So, Dream Life, how did this start? How did you first? What was that conversation like with Static?
Yeah, so Static reached out to me to do a sample replay, and most sample replays are pretty straightforward, and you hear the MP3 that they send you, and you're kind of like, all right, we can do this. This one was a bit different. And the reason it was different is because it was a Dells record. And the way those guys were singing back in the 70s is damn hard to replicate today. So I had an MP3 and a really amazing sample. The whole beat was basically done. And we needed to replay this sample, and for us to redo the vocals was something that was on my mind, and something I think as a group we spoke a lot about. How can we do this? What's a realistic approach? So we kind of went into this, I think, without a way that we could do that, without a solid game plan, and just kind of made it work as we went along. So that's pretty much how it began, and I think it took quite a while for us to get this one to where it ended up. I think you guys remember.
I don't even remember how it started. I know we were freaking out because we were kind of tasked with creating an entirely new composition, and it ended up being. This is a spoiler alert. It ended up being the final song ended up being a combination of our new creation and the sample. So that's what I mean. Like, it didn't go how we planned. We thought we were creating an entirely new work on the master and composition side, and it ended up that we did do that, but Static still decided to go with using the sample in conjunction with our new creation, which ended up adding an entirely new dimension to the song. So it really transformed it. It didn't sound like the original at all, really. There were elements of the original, but it was crazy. So how did it start? I don't remember. There were just so many hands in the creation of this that I thought you had worked. I think Dream Life. I think you had created some chords and you sent them to me, and I was like, okay, I can play those. Because I think Steve was busy doing something. He was like, I don't know, washing the penthouse windows or something, strapped to a pulley system or something, and so he couldn't do it right away. And Dream Life and I are freaking out because we're just at home by ourselves. And I was like, okay, I can't play keys like Stack, so let me just try to do something and send it back to Dream Life. And is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happened. So basically, I was freaking out because I always like to get these sample replays going as quick as possible. Once I get the request, I don't like to sit on it. I feel like it loses momentum. So I remember getting the song, and to get this started, I mean, you got to have a bass sort of fundamental piece that you're going to work around. So that in this case was the keys. If I'm not mistaken, Stack Trace, you might be able to clarify this, but I think it was a pretty simple 4-chord turnaround, 7th chords, really nice sort of sequence. So put that down, literally just worked it out by ear, and then sent it back to everyone. And then you, Payne, you took it and basically worked on it. I think you spent a night on it and then sent it back to all of us, went back to Stack Trace, and so on and so forth, I believe.
I see what happened. All right. So you sent me MIDI, you sent me some chords, and I ended up adding additional chords to the MIDI that you sent and some embellishments on top. Okay, so this is what it sounded like at the very beginning stages when me and you were at home freaking out, trying to get a hold of everybody else, and they're not calling us back because they have actual lives. This is what we created. This is the intro. And I think there's one chord variation here. That's why you see this red section that I just added in after the fact. And then I think that's when Stack Trace finally added something to it, right? And you added live roads, right?
Yeah, I did live roads, but I never heard what you just played. So I'm thinking, Dream, you never sent me that part. You sent me something else.
Yeah, I sent you the same chords, the MIDI that I sent Payne. So you obviously got it, and then you got it a few days later when you finally decided to check your email. And then after that, I think you laid the chords down. I have the roads that you sent me here as well. I'd definitely like to play them if possible. Just because I think.
Yeah. And the roads that. Right back there, that's my Rhodes, and that's a Rhodes 73. Needs a little bit of work, but the thing I like about it is all that clankiness, and like there's some keys that are not busted, but they sound, it needs some work, but that kind of comes through in the recording. I think we talked about that, like at least we did in the other record, is like keeping some of those artifacts in there because we really like that.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what this sounds like that I'm just about to play, but I'm pretty sure there's some of that in this phrase. I'm just gonna share this.
Yep.
So I think this is actually completely different all the way through. Yeah, so that is one of the first things I got, I believe. And you also sent a piano.
Yeah, I thought I did like piano, the intro, those first couple of chords. I thought. Oh, I layered it with piano?
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you know what you actually sent me? You sent me something, I can't remember the name. I remember you, hang on. And I had to chop it up and I called it intro piano. And it was just like a kind of really cool.
Oh yeah, that's the SRX piano, yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what you sent me first, and then also these Rhodes intros here as well here. kind of put a delay on this.
Did you run that through your pedals?
No, I didn't. At that point, I didn't have any pedals, interestingly. So yeah, that is I believe the first thing that I got from Stack Traces, and then I believe it went to memory, if I'm not mistaken.
And I apologize if you hear some banging in the background. There's kids behind this wall, and they've been going nuts. So sorry if that happens. Yeah, I laid down quite a few guitars on here, though. And, Gary Clark Jr., he also added things. And I think that the difference between what we added, like I pretty much did a lot of the basis, like the underlying sounds and textures and things like that. And he kind of came over and did, like the solo stuff and the lead stuff that, you can hear more prominently throughout the track. But if you listen underneath, you can kind of hear some of these things. So I'll just kind of play them individually, just so you can hear what I played. Let's see. So just some stabs. Can you guys hear that all right? So then I added some chords underneath that with a tremolo effect on them. And then a melody, which is with a phaser on it. And that melody right there is basically what Tina.
I was just about to say. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Did that come after, before, or after? I'm not sure.
That was you, man. That was you. I don't think there was an element that had that melody in, at least in the files that you got, not to my knowledge.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The issue was none of us remember.
Right.
I was like, oh, we're going to talk about this today? I have no idea about anything. I have no idea. I don't remember any of it. I was going to make stuff up. So I'll just make a whole bunch of cool stuff up.
We're going to have to start writing notes when we are doing tracks like
working with Nas. Let's get our feelings down.
Yes.
Well, the funny thing is when you're doing it, it's like, I'll remember this. Like, I remember what's going on and stuff. But then when some time goes by, you look back at it, it's like, I just can't remember.
Absolutely not.
It's crazy.
All I remember is the final mix that I did of this that I sent to Static. I think it was like, how many tracks is it? I mean, it's got to be like 40 tracks. And I just remember how long it took me to mix it. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So here's these were just some like sprinkles, some little things to add in that just give it more texture. Something with a wah on it, like a wah chord.
Memory, what pedal were you using for that delay effect? Can you remember? Just for the guitar buffs out there, it might be interesting.
Yeah, it's either going to be, well, it's a combination of the GT100, which is made by Boss, with my actual wah pedal, which is a Vox pedal. At the time, it was a Vox. Since then, I got the Crybaby. But yeah, I think that was with the Vox pedal. So, and that's part of the Tone Lab LE, which is another multi-effects processor. So,
what about the tremolo? Was that coming from a pedal, or was that like waves or something?
The trem, yeah, that came from one of the pedals for sure. I don't really do much in post. I'm really trying to focus on using pedals and things like that to create the sounds. I feel like the post effects for guitar just kind of sound cheap and sort of fake. So I kind of stay away from that. But there is a sound that people get from using those. So I kind of take back what I said about it being cheap and fake, because a lot of music is made that way. But yeah, I really try and stick with the analog when I can. So.
By the way, I forgot to mention when we were talking about Rhodes that the Rhodes that I gave Dream was straight out of the line out, like no effects at all. And I don't think you added anything to them. I know I didn't. Dream, you're on mute there. But yeah, it was straight line out of the unit, and I don't have an amp or anything.
Do you know what? I actually did? I took the bottom end out of it. So I pretty much EQ'd the bottom end out of it. For some reason, I think when I got the live bass back off the bassist that played on this, Alex, he played an amazing bass line, and I think there was just a few little nicks of the bottom of the Rhodes that were clashing with the bass, because it's a very similar register down there. So I think all I did was just take a little bit of the bottom end off it.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. As a general rule, if I'm recording keys, whether they're analog or whether they're a VST, I'm always rolling off the lower frequencies.
That's a good rule. I don't do it enough, but it does definitely clash with the bass if you're not careful. And you never really know it until the bass is in there. And if you've already sent off the stems, it's like, yeah, you have your only choice as a mixer is to roll something off. So, or just edit like crazy.
So I just had a couple other parts here, just more of those kind of textural pieces. The one that you can hear the most prominently is at kind of toward the beginning of the track before the drums drop, and that's this one. So that was pretty much done with just using a delay and kind of just going down the fretboard and kind of doing a tremolo effect or a trill effect. And then there's this other part, which I guess was like, I believe Static might have chopped this up and used little snippets of it here and there, which I think you can hear throughout. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what I added, and yeah.
So what is that, like 8 or 9 tracks of guitar?
Yep, 9 tracks, yep. So what's the count at?
A lot.
It's a lot. It was stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the next, like the next bit of the process really was, so we had this track now that had kind of started taking shape in terms of, we had keys, we had guitar, we had strings that Payne added, we had a bunch of stuff. And I think the next stage was actually Tina getting in the studio with you, Payne, and kind of working out, how can you guys sort of get some of that energy that the original vocals had, right?
I mean, I wish we had been in the studio together, but she's still 1,000+ miles away. Damn it, man. But yeah, all of us did every part of this remotely, and that's kind of the crazy thing. I'll share my screen again and show you what is going on. All right, so here it is. This is kind of like the full thing. I'm gonna mute Tina's vocals just so that we can leave that as a surprise. But with everything, like strings and everything. And I'll just be straight up. Obviously, I'm not playing these strings. These are from Arcade. The piano track here. Piano embellishments. There's the bass line. There are the drums. There's the Rhodes that Stack Trace added from an actual keyboard. I don't know. I think these strings are that yeah, you must have sent me these vibes too. And then these are additional piano embellishments. These are from two different arcade presets. This is one. This is where I got the strings from, and this is where I got the piano embellishments from this little piece. And then, yeah, then the struggle, the really big struggle was finding vocals that fit the aesthetic of 70s soul, which is not easy. And the craziest thing for me is because the original sample was male vocals. So we're sitting back brainstorming, what do we do? What do we do? Who has vocals like that? And I was like, why not my friend of like a million years, Tina? She can sing like that. Who cares if she's a woman? Let's just change it. Let's make it a woman singing instead of a male group. And that's what we did. And thank God we did it because it worked. So what was your process like, Tina?
The same as always. I get a beat, and I listened to the other song, and really got like the feel of it, and like what the premises, and like, trying to capture what they were doing and the vibe of what they were doing, and I just did my dang best, and it turned out pretty cool. I mean, I thought it would be cooler if they would have used a little bit more, but it was cool that they used what they did, of course.
Did you pick the words "Keep It Moving"?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you actually, because obviously we had to change. At that stage, you're actually trying to replay the sample completely, right? So we had to take "Walk On By," which is the sample that they used, but then we kind of had to have you write like an alternate version of like, what could you say "Walk On By," right? So how did you, like, what was your process when you heard the original lyrics and sort of making something new?
Well, I thought, like keeping the sound and the feel, but also using like a phrase that kids like, keep it moving, that's more modern. So I thought it'd be cool if I use like a modern phrase with that really kind of 70s sound. And I thought it would connect, and it seemed like it did. They picked it for the name of the song and everything. So that was cool.
Yeah, I want to add something as well, and I know you guys are aware of this, but it's not plainly obvious. I actually had two other people do vocals for this as well. One was a male vocalist. He did what Tina did, where he wrote his own alternate version, and I had another female vocalist also do it as well, and sent them all in different mixes to Static Selector, and obviously he picked Tina's version. So yeah.
Yeah, let me play these vocals so anyone who's watching actually knows, what we're going on about. And you can see I did a lot of vocal production. I cut a lot of vocals and rearranged them because I wanted to make it, the original track sampled a soul sample, and it's Static Selector, so we chopped it up a lot. So I actually just took Tina's vocals and chopped them up a whole bunch.
I'm done being broken over you. Keep it moving, yeah. Keep it moving, yeah, yeah. Moving, yeah. Keep it moving, yeah.
Yeah, so you can see all my chops. I'll bring everything in so it sounds more true to form.
Yeah. Keep it moving, yeah, yeah. Moving, yeah. Keep it moving, yeah, yeah. Moving, yeah. Keep it moving, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's with everything. That's with Tina's vocals. That's with Stack Trace's Rhodes. That's with my keys. The only elements that are missing are everything that Dream Life added once I sent him this stuff. And for some reason, I don't have any of the guitars because I think Memory sent all the guitars directly to Dream Life because he doesn't trust me.
That bastard.
Sounds about
I don't
right,
know.
man.
Can I want to say something about the vocals. Also, Jan, I don't know if you remember, but I tried to sing it too. And I never recorded it because it was above my register. And I'm like, man, I can't do it. Like, just,
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy is that I actually tried to sing it too. Yeah, I wasn't.
I'm glad we got Peter to do it. Yeah.
Well, I'll just add this to the group. I did absolutely not attempt to sing it.
No. Stop.
Same here. I thought the octave double that you did, Tina, was really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, that because some singers, they'll just take that and double it like in the track, but you actually sang an octave higher, and that just really made it sound more rich to me.
So in the original sample, there was actually a vocal that went all the way through the verse in the original that he sent me, and where you're singing, there's like a high ad lib that you sing that I think was very similar to what they were singing through the verse, and I think that was like a major. When I got that back and I knew that we could have some vocal going through the verse, I was like, all right, now we're kind of getting closer to where, we need to be to actually try to emulate the feeling.
Right,
so that's sort of high vocal. I don't know if
I'll play it.
Yeah, it's like a keep it. I'm not going to try and sing it because,
Moving, yeah, moving, yeah, keep it moving, yeah.
Oh, my bad. So it's this.
Keep it moving, yeah, moving.
So when I got that and I could have that playing through the verse, I was like, that's the feel right there. And I feel like that's something they did a lot back in sort of the Motown era, was they'd have these sort of, you're a singer, so you can explain it better than me, but they'd have these sort of really sort of octave-like harmonies.
Yeah. Well, it makes it more powerful, and you get like the richness of like your boom voice, and then you have that it's just the frequencies too. You want to have the high frequencies. It just gives that really kind of epic 70s feel, because people are lazy now and they don't really do that kind of stuff as much anymore. And but it really makes a huge difference. So
yeah, it wasn't falsetto or anything like that either, or it didn't seem to be.
I mean, I don't remember it. Luckily I'm singing these days in a cover band for my 9 to 5, and I have to learn like all the backgrounds to Earth, Wind and Fire and all the backgrounds to all these Motown songs. So I really have had a chance to study these masters in a a very in-depth way, because I have to perform them all the time. So it's been really helpful with
what
my
did you,
writing.
in terms of like microphones and like processes on your end, because obviously
I use a Duet, and I use a Shure condenser mic, and I have a Mac and Pro Tools.
So you just went pretty much like straight into Pro Tools, like dry, and then sent.
Well, I have like a template that I like the way my shit sounds, but when I send it off to everybody, it's dry, but I can enjoy it while I'm recording, so it doesn't sound boring and dry.
Cool.
But I always send them off.
So did you like just play the instrumental back and like record loads and loads of takes and pick the best ones, or were you super meticulous and you were like, no, this is exactly what I'm going to sing, and like, what's your process in terms of that?
It honestly, it depends. I mean, sometimes I just like don't even write anything down. I just sing the hook, like I get it right away. It just comes, depending on how simple it is, whatever. And then I'll start layering. And usually I like do a lot of stuff, and Payne like throws half of it away. But like I stack stuff and I pan stuff and I do all the things. And he just likes kind of like my pure voice. He doesn't like it to be that much. But it really does depend, I would say. It depends on the thing. This one, I wasn't super, it kind of came easy, and I just like, you get the main thing, and then you just start like adding all the, the parts and all the things. And it's like a puzzle to me, and I find where all the pieces go. And that's how I kind of But
So I got to ask as well, because I was wondering this, like, how did you feel when you found out that they like named the song?
I mean,
Like,
it was
after
all
the
really
lyric-
cool. It was all really cool, you know. Like I'm old, so Nas is like the jam, you know.
Yeah,
So like, it's even more
Forever,
cool than
forever.
like some like younger person, I would feel like, and you know, it was really cool, and I was excited and proud. I'm proud to be working with all y'all, and you know, you guys are so talented, and you know, take me along for the ride. I'm ready, you know, like so.
You know, it's funny what you said too about like when you record stuff and what gets used versus what doesn't. It's like in my experience, the parts that I spent the most time on usually are the ones that don't get used. But the stuff that I feel like I just kind of shit out,
Or that came
people are like, oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Like, what, man,
that came really easy. That came really naturally. There's a lot of times that it just comes very, very easily. And sometimes, you know, I'll write a hook and I'll be like, let me listen to this tomorrow. Let me go ahead and listen to this tomorrow. And then I'll listen. I'm like, oh, no. You know, so you have to walk away from some stuff too, because you get too in your head about it, you know, and then it just like there's nothing to be done, I think, except for walk away and revisit, because I just spin my wheels and I get crabby and I can't really be successful in it anyway. So
I think
that breaks the creative process.
Yeah, I think that's a massive message for like, even if you're just like a beat maker at this point, like, you know, if you were just making beats, like instead of making
smoke some weed, drink some water, take a walk around the block, do some shit, but
and
don't
then come back.
And then come back, and don't sit there and be like, I gotta get it, because you ain't gonna get it. You ain't gonna get it.
This is a very, very useful conversation, because I used to spend, like, try to make a beat and it would take me 8 hours, because I spent 7.5 hours trying to work out if it was good or not and what I needed to tweak to make it good. Like, what a waste of time. I could have just come back the next day. And then if you would have been
the next day, you would have been like, oh, I just have to do this.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
That's kind of like how it works for me, and I've learned to like leave it. You know, I'm not. It's taken a long time to get to that. So take this advice, because it's true, people, the younger ones.
Something that I learned from working with Payne One in his studio is that, because when I bring my keyboard over and I'll start playing some chords or whatever, like he'll tell me what he likes, like right away, like a little line I've done or something. So if I don't start recording right away, I forget what I did that he liked. So I now hit the record button every time, like before I even start thinking of what I'm going to do, I record in case I miss the one thing that was gold in it.
Sometimes I record when I'm first listening, because that first thing, you know, like I feel like Jay-Z. I'm like, I'm fucking Jay-Z right now, son. I didn't write nothing down. I off the dome type shit. So it's kind of cool to be able to, like, when that happens, it's magical, and you just go with it. That's fun.
Here's what's hilarious. Okay, so we're talking about, you know, all our parts getting cut out, because when we heard the final version, I think we were all just holding our breath to see, you know, which parts that we played made it into a Nas track, because we wanted to be immortalized in a Nas record. And actually, I mean, a lot of the stuff got cut out, but we all had pieces that made it. And it wouldn't be the song without our individual pieces, and we were fine with it. But I know with I'm just gonna say it. I know with Tina and Jason, because they've been my friends forever. I mean, for a long time, and we talk, if not every day, several times a week. You know, just on a personal level. And I was getting from Tina, am I even in the final song? And I was getting from Jason, did I get kicked off the song because Gary Clark Jr. has a Grammy and I don't? And then the final version, it's like Nas, Joey Badass, and Tina G. And you know, we're all in it, and that's the craziest part to me, because not only it was funny because Tina had all this anxiety about not making the final version, but then the title you provided, the title was based on your lyrics, and there was an entire like minute and a half of nothing but your voice. Finally heard the final song, I'm like, oh yeah, Tina's gonna be happy. She's not gonna yell at me anymore.
What do you mean anymore? I was just like, I heard a snippet and I heard the sample that they had already. What is happening? You know, like, so. Because
Yeah,
you in there, right? Like, so.
Yeah, right.
So well.
No, so the thing with that, right? Because I did have the conversation with Static, and like the original sample is, really added a lot to the song in terms of like the vision that Static had, I believe. So that stayed, and they ended up clearing the sample. But what was so cool about the fact that they did keep it was you sang with them.
It was totally cool. But the little piece that I heard, I was like, oh no, I thought I was going to do this anyway, where you're like, oh dear, but I mean, in the music industry, so, that happens all the time. You get all these opportunities and all this stuff happens and you're like so excited and you tell people and then, that opportunity doesn't come through and you're like, you learn to roll with it. But I was really hopeful for this just because it was a really fun feather in my career cap, it was nice.